Very lovely evening to you, and thank you for joining us on Kwara Television News for tonight. I'm Fatima Rashid. You can watch us live on Facebook, also on Star Times 113, Free TV 502, and you can watch us on YouTube, also on Kwara TV. With me on the news tonight, Funke.
Good evening, I'm Funke Olutimilei, and we have standby on new page news language and of course Yoruba. We have Ahmed Pasanat waiting for the Labari. Ahmed, good better.
By Kagan Bena Lucas Tabiana, they're going to be Labari, the television, Kwanachi, Kwata, Kubalu. When I line a behind Ahmed Pasanat and Kwafu, at Kwashika can be a baby now. I'm baby, Suleiman.
Ahmed Pasana, Ekale, àsìkò iṣẹ́ láti àtàrọ̀. Ìròyìn ni ọ̀pọ̀ tún sún kàn láti iléeṣẹ́ móhùnmáwòrán tó kalẹ̀ sí àpáta Yakuba nílùú Ìlọrin. Sulaiman Amudani oníròyìn wa fún ti tàṣálẹ̀ ní ẹ kú kalẹ̀ máa bá wa ká lọ. Fatima Rashid.
I will begin with the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, which has placed regional security at the center of its agenda as it works towards achieving 5% economic growth across West Africa. Speaking in Abuja at a meeting with development partners today, President of the ECOWAS Commission, Umar Toure, while presenting highlights of the ECOWAS 2025 annual report, said security challenges continues to affect parts of the region, prompting intensified engagement by the bloc. Toure said ECOWAS had reinforced its security architecture, including the ECOWAS Standby Force and a 1,650-member counter-terrorism brigade, while assessment missions to the Gambia and Guinea-Bissau highlighted gaps in training and exit strategies. The Commission's president said the bloc continues to deal with the fallout from the withdrawal of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, while keeping channels open for dialogue.
The Nigerian Air Force has said the Chief of Air Staff, Mr. Air Marshal Sunday Aneke, accompanied President Tinubu and Minister of Defense General Christopher Musa to the Turkey as part of operational efforts, particularly in the fight against terrorism, banditry, insurgency, and other asymmetric threats. In a statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force Air Commander Erime Ejodame said the personalities who were on a high-level official working visit to Ankara, Republic of Turkey, underscored the resolve of the federal government to proactively strengthen Nigeria's defense posture, deepen international partnerships. At the diplomatic level, President Tinubu engaged his Turkish counterpart in focused bilateral discussions aimed at translating shared interests into tangible outcomes, adding that the engagement culminated into the signing of 9 memoranda of understanding spanning defense, trade, education, media, technology, and allied sector. The statement said the agreement marked a significant step towards actionable cooperation, reinforcing Nigeria's access to advanced technologies, structured skills transfer, and institutional frameworks that support long-term national security and development objectives. Speaking on the significance of this visit, the Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, noted that engagement reflects the President's clear directive to decisively confront Nigeria's security challenges and other threats to national stability.
And Vice President Kashim Shettima has said the ongoing reforms of the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu are beginning to restore the confidence of the global community in Nigeria, noting that renewed international trust is reflected in growing foreign participation in foreign programs within the country. Shettima made the assertion today at the inaugural convocation ceremony of the Nigerian Procurement Certification Program held in Abuja. Shettima, represented at the event by the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Senator Ibrahim Hadeja, said the graduation of the first cohort of certified procurement professionals marks a significant milestone in the implementation of President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. It stressed that the participation of professionals from outside Nigeria underscores rising confidence in the credibility of the country's reform efforts. Shatima noted that a total of 2,100 procurement professionals from Nigeria and other countries were being celebrated, describing the achievement as evidence that Nigeria is consciously positioning itself as a benchmark for excellence in public procurement on the African continent and beyond.
The governor of Ogun State, Kwara Tv, has formally handed over Taisa Lari Federal University of Education to the federal government during the 17th convocation of the institution. The Memorandum of Understanding for the transfer of the university was signed at the event on Thursday by Governor Abiodun and the Minister of State for Education, Professor Waba Ahmed. The federal government had officially announced the takeover of the university in March 2025 to bolster teacher education in the country. Governor Abiodun, while speaking at the event, said the elevation of the university to federal status reinforces the federal government's commitment to preserving legacy institutions and strengthening teacher education as a strategic pillar of national development. The governor commended President Bola Tinubu for approving the takeover of the university, saying that such a move has not only helped to enhance equity in the geographical spread of federal universities, but has further reinforced the government's commitment to empowering its teeming population through qualitative education.
And President Bola Tinubu has called on Nigerians to imbibe enduring qualities of courage, resilience, unity, and politics of cooperation exemplified by the late Samuel Laduke Akintola, while consciously avoiding bitterness, acrimony, and divisive tendencies in national life. He urged Nigerians to draw inspiration from Akintola's legacy of bridge building, fairness, and patriotism. The president stressed that the remembrance of past tragedies should serve not to reopen old wounds, but to heal them through understanding and a renewed commitment to national unity. The president, represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, at the 2026 Samuel Akintola Memorial Lecture and the 60th remembrance of the former Premier of Western Nigeria, noted that Samuel Laduke Akintola, like several other leaders of Nigeria's formative years, paid the ultimate price with his life for Nigeria to attain its full potential. He recalled that the January 15, 1966 military coup extinguished many national leaders in their prime and set Nigeria on a difficult path. The president assured Nigerians that despite the prevailing socio-economic challenges, his administration remains firmly committed to building on the foundations laid by Akintola and other national heroes through reforms, policies, and people-oriented initiatives aimed at securing a more sustainable and inclusive prosperity.
The Nigerian Educational Loan Fund has extended the application deadline for the 2025-2026 academic session to February 27, 2026. In a statement issued in Abuja on Thursday, the fund said the deadline initially set for January 31st, 2026 was extended to give prospective applicants additional time to complete and submit their applications. The Director of Strategic Communications, Oseyemi Oluwatuyi, said that the decision was taken to ensure that no eligible students is excluded from the process due to timing constraints. Speaking on the extension, the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of NEL Fund, Akintunde Soria, said the extension reflects the fund commitment to inclusivity and access. NEL Fund urged students who have not yet applied, who are yet to complete their applications, to take advantage of the extended deadline and ensure that all required information submitted on or before February 27, 2026. We'll go on a short break now. Join us after the timeout for more news items.
Thank you for staying tuned. At the Lagos State, the police command has denied claims that its officers shot at residents protesting the demolition of their homes, insisting no gun was fired during Wednesday's demonstration. Protesters from communities including Makoko, Oworishoki, Owodoniri, and Okobaba marched to the State House of Assembly demanding proper relocation plans, compensation, and justice for residents who reportedly lost their lives during past demolition exercises. Protesters were seen carrying placards with inscriptions such as, "A mega city cannot be built on the bones and blood of the poor," and "Justice for Odionere traders." A photograph showing an injured protester being assisted to the hospital circulated widely on social media, sparking claims that the individual was shot. Meanwhile, the State Commissioner of Police, Jim Olorundare, responding to the reports while appearing on a national TV today, said no gun was fired, adding that the police sought to resolve the situation peacefully.
Workers of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, represented by the Joint Union Action Committee, JOAC, resumed their indefinite strike on Thursday over unresolved welfare issues. Reports indicate that attendance affected offices was low and complying with JOAC's directive to stay at home as the strike continues despite a National Industrial Court ruling on January 27, which ordered workers to suspend their strike and adjourn the case until March 23. The union led by Council Femi Falana has appealed the ruling. Meanwhile, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike warned of consequences for workers who do not return to work, stating that most demands had been addressed. The union claimed that the court injunction targeted JOAC leaders and not the union members, reiterating that the strike will persist until Wike negotiates with the workers. It would be recalled that the initial strike began on June 19th.
The Senate has commenced investigation into operational inefficiencies and insecurity in the Nigerian railway system following concerns over decline in service delivery. The decision to launch the probe followed concerns by Senator Abdul Ningi raised during plenary today, who drew the attention of the Senate to the deteriorating state of key rail corridors in the country. Consequently, Senate President Godswill Akpabio inaugurated an ad hoc committee to carry out a holistic investigation into the Nigerian railway system. The committee has been mandated to examine the execution of railway projects, funding, operational efficiency and service delivery, and is expected to submit its report within 6 weeks. Commenting on the state of rail services, Akpabio expressed concern over the declining speed of the Abuja-Kaduna train service. Senator Abdul Ningi, while drawing the Senate's attention to the condition of the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano rail line, alleged that the contract for the project was poorly executed.
The House of Representatives has passed the 558.47 trillion naira proposed 2026 budget for the second reading. The budget's estimated is hinged on macroeconomic stability, improved security, and increased allocation for the execution of capital projects across the country. The proposal was presented to a joint session of the National Assembly by President Bola Tinubu on December 19, 2025, addressing on the general principles of the appropriation bill. The House leader Julius Nwabere said President Tinubu assumed office during difficult period, adding that the reform currently being implemented are expected to come with pains and inconveniences. He called on lawmakers to support the proposal, highlighting the 3.98% economic growth rate for 2026, a drop in the inflation of 14.45% from about 25%, improved revenues, export growth, and expanded foreign direct investment. He noted that the Naira has stabilized at about 1,400 Naira to the dollar, down from the 1,600 Naira, while Nigerians' external reserves have climbed to a 7-year high of above $47 billion, sufficient to cover more than 10 months of import. The Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, announced a 2-week recess to enable members to work on the budget ahead of its final passage when the House resumes on February 17, 2025.
The Muslim rights concern, MURIC, has urged President Bola Tinubu to immediately remove the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Amopiton. This is contained in a statement signed by the chairman, Kano State Chapter of MURIC, Hassan Sani Indabawa, today, which says Amopiton's removal is essential to safeguard the credibility of the forthcoming elections. The group alleged that Amopiton's past actions justifies his removal, resignation, or prosecution, highlighting a legal brief authored by him in 2020 titled Legal Brief Genocide in Nigeria, the Implications for the International Community. In a statement, they described the brief, which was addressed to the United States on the issue of alleged Christian genocide in Nigeria, as hate-filled. It pointed out that Amopiton's legal brief argued that attacks by Boko Haram and Fulani herdsmen were not merely localized conflicts, but formed a coordinated anti-Christian campaign. The statement stressed that Amopiton's removal is essential to safeguard the credibility of the forthcoming elections, warning that allowing him to remain as INEC chairman could undermine the integrity of the 2027 elections.
Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdrazak has extended his condolences to the Ojeras of Lagos on the death of their patriarch and foremost industrialist, Otumba Adekunle Ojera. This is contained in a statement by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Rafiu Ajakaye, today. The Governor specifically commiserates with the former First Lady of Kwara State, Mrs. Toyin Saraki, over the death of her father. Abdrazak urged the family to be comforted by the good legacies of the patriarch, who was an accomplished journalist, industrialist, and respected business and community leader. He prayed to God to give the family strength to carry on the legacy of the late statesman.
And you're also watching Kwara State News. We go for another break. When we come back, it will be time for business, sports, and news from around the world. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying tuned. And on the business desk, the prices of maize and Guinea corn have reduced compared to last year. Abdulateef Owole was at Ojoba Market to look at the current prices of the commodities. His report is presented from our studios.
Barely 3 weeks to Ramadan fast, prices of maize and Guinea corn have continued to drop. One of the sellers, Aliyu Balikis, who spoke to Kwara TV News crew, said early last year, 2025, a 50 kg bag of Guinea corn and maize were sold around 55 to 60,000 naira, while the 50 kg is now 32,000 naira. A paint rubber sold at 2,400 naira before now goes for 1,200 naira. Amudu containing 8 cups sold at 700 naira before is now 400 naira.
Now the price has reduced, so we are selling it 6,500 now, but before we are selling it 8,000 naira, 7,000 naira upward like that. The maize is 28,000 naira, while the Guinea corn is 30,000 naira.
Another seller, Abdurrashid Bello, who spoke in the same vein, lamented low patronage despite reduction in the prices of the commodities.
When it's cost, so they see some people, they come well, but now market still dull like.
The third annual public award ceremony of the Ahmed Ainla Foundation took place today at Swan Secretariat in Church at Bazika Stadium in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital. The event was organized to honor sport excellence in Kwara State. Abdulateef Ahmed was at the event for Kwara TV. His report is presented from our studio.
The Ahmed Ainla Foundation organized its annual award ceremony today, which aims to recognize the noble contributions of Kwarans who have impacted in the development of sports in Kwara State. In his remark, the chairman of the occasion and the chairman Kwara State Sports Commission, Coach Bola Kale Mogaji, commended the founder of the foundation, Dr. Ahmed Ainla, for recognizing the awardees. He also commended the awardees for their contributions to sports development in Kwara State.
And what is significant in Nigerian culture is that the labor of our helpers shall not go in vain. Even though we are not giving them money, which I don't think will be the first priority, recognition is far more better than giving money.
In his remark, the chairman board of trustees of Ahmed Ainla Foundation, Dr. Ahmed Ainla, said that the award is meant to celebrate the awardees while they are still alive.
These are the set of people that have used their days to work for this country. Now at the old age, it seems they are being forgotten. Nobody is taking care of them. Then I've decided that I should, my foundation should recognize them.
Some of the awardees who spoke with Kwara TV News expressed appreciation and gratitude to the foundation for the honorary award.
So for somebody to now come up with this type of program, at least we should give credit to him. It's very interesting. It's very laudable.
Recognized to have done or contributed one's quota to sports development by this foundation, I think is a very remarkable thing. It's very commendable, and the spirit behind it is highly appreciated.
The event featured award presentation and group photographs. Abdulateef Ahmed, Kwara TV News.
The Confederation of African Football (CAF) has imposed sanctions on the Senegalese and Moroccan football federations, as well as several players, following chaotic incidents that marred the 2025 African Cup of Nations final. CAF announced that Senegal's head coach, Pape Bonafour, has been suspended for 5 matches due to unsporting conduct. Additionally, Senegalese national team player Iliman Baroy received a 2-match suspension for unsporting behavior towards the referee. Morocco and PSG defender Akraf Hakimi was also suspended for 2 matches, while midfielder Ismail Sabari was suspended for 3 matches and fined $100,000 for unsporting behavior. It will be recalled that the final on January 18, 2026 at the Stade Mahmoud in Rabat ended in chaos after Senegal had a goal disallowed and Morocco was awarded a last-minute penalty. Thiaw led his players off the pitch in protest. The game resumed, and after a penalty save by Senegal's goalkeeper, Edouard Mendy, Senegal won 1-0 in extra time with a goal from Pape Gueye. Both CAF and FIFA President Gianni Infantino condemned the event.
Happening around the world shows that search and rescue efforts continued in Mozambique after weeks of heavy rains that caused severe flooding, submerging farmland, homes, and infrastructure. Mozambique's Institute for Disaster Management and Risk Reduction reported that 103 people died and that the severe flood had displaced more than 650,000 people. ActionAid warns of the risk of cholera and other waterborne diseases in camps that are housing almost 200,000 people. Such as on Thursday, human-caused climate change worsened the recent torrential rains and flood, which devastated parts of southern Africa, killing more than 100 people and displacing over 300, researchers said on Thursday. The World Weather Attribution, which analyzed the recent heavy rainfall that caused severe flooding in parts of South Africa, Mozambique, showed that the region experienced a year's worth of rain in 10 days. It resulted in widespread damage to housing and infrastructure estimated to run into the millions of dollars and caused untold human suffering, including the loss of lives. Many homes and buildings in Mozambique were completely submerged, while roads and bridges were spread away in the South African province of Limpopo and Mpumalanga in part of Zimbabwe. The report from Mozambique wraps up the news, but before we go, we still have the Labari and Yoruba news standing by. Ahmed Wasana is on the Labari stand.
Ngawama gan shi atuka shi labari na jimdi alaba gan be ejimi anu pe na daga misumso Ahmed Kwasan tampafu gola gindo sina Allah shi ga Nigeria education loan wato found na wato gola gina Allah shi ga a sha ma ejiman kanta shi wana ga wato ke be ko man katan lo man katan ko jina bani a gani kede a sunan laci ciyan daga ya gina ja mai wona ne yayin ne 2025 26 ne ya kiwuye beda lan lefu ye beda ibo da etwa ngai ga twafu eshibe gutwa ba ya etwa fi boy ne de ya be dan ni ya ne fi ngba ku da no e ba ta kan de tia ngai ga e jan abuja la mi fo ni na la to la ke de gola gen le fond na ta ke de ngai gan pain le na a e funa la shi gan suna ga ji ki suna la shi ga ki na ngai gan etwa fo gbon obeni etwa na ifin gbaku da nga ga etwa jenoro amada ba ne ba kendo na rika jina ake ya sun lati na ne beda efo igboro gade ya za ga de ewa kafa dabo ya na la suna be shishi be na ni tishi director ni golaji unchon etia eto gangba jina o seyemi oluwatu yi na de latula kide ni a na wi bode zanin dondo ne de ga de ni na la shishi na ade zendo na bada zumana mungamala awaga bazendo ade zumbo mungamala a chefo yi buru gan zani pa ta zana jidiga gikini etiene de goigan ala be na aga udina abela suna chisho ni me ga mesuyen tishi no sa managing director ngola jumucho munga enel fa muncho akin tunde soya mulatu la kire efo yelo ya suna chishina muyide e bayen na ta sandondo cha de aki twa ade aki twa lando na daga pa gan ala suna chichi gola gimu chono gola gene phone na uchi wa be man kata ipa ta na jide de ni alo man kata nchiko yina kide taka ni daga goyi gan aka ala ka banaga goyi alo aka sun chi adala aka chi to ni daga goyi aga gbigana kide e phone na wi kire na ka fama dabo ya na de adabi na hai daga bani do etwa fo shibe gutwa ba ye etwa ba chen February na ifini ngba ku woda na ne be supa nda na tun lo chiyan kinta chen Nigeria abun ga Federal Capital Territory na bani na de na chiyan tun lo chi ndo chi de gwagwa de gikini kusu ya na committee mu chi ya gwani akeji ga fidan tun bo su ma de aya tu ya ji na to suna to na de sashi ya kina de cheko ya na mula de wa zo na ba ga ne tulana la tula kide kama office ne ya chililo la tula kide gwa ko ra ngi de alotumba na de ga mi la tu yana de na chin jo aka mu shi de la ya kide ando nu fe nu shi emi bo nga lo tumba na mo na kide tu ya ji mu shi mu ye lori na to na de ko tun hukunci ba de baganan ba ta tsafo shi be gutwa ba to an jeno ya ra shi ba ja etumba na be kendo na de gamilu shi na ni na chin na ja na de te shi gobo da femi fala na de gikine ko so na gba ni kire boda kalam shi la da ko tun appeal court na ya ye gboro boda na yi na kalam shi ni mi eluba le ga me sa de la da etun kin Abuja un shi na nye san wike wani latula kide etun lo chindo no de lo tumba no wato le ti bo ko e bo kya chi no ba ta etun lo chindo ndu unje bunda etumba kide yana jide ya kya ce ci ko ya no ga basuko aji kin tuba na ga ndu wayi na nan na ja na ma latula kide taka adike latula kide yana de yugwa ko no ga gan kishi tishi na chinna je tulo chi munga ina adega be ino muji gan atso na je na chen ju asi na ja ebo kya chi nan etun chi na ga ya ji na nan wale gan bani de na de bani de gan gadi chu loye ala ene de ga gikina la ejuta de be gadan etun ya ji mu shi nan endunu luwai gwaraji na de ndo shi na de ya dine musulun shi ne ga Muslim Rights Concern na ga Murik na bani da awa be tishi Bola Tinubu kin Nigeria ban ke de be gwato ga be parliament da sako na de ali fortune abugun la da etun kuriya chen kin Nigeria abun alama chin e ko ngai gan professor Anjosia amukiton alama chin e ko na de alutano na be ban takana de adagun da sako mori kun shi da guna nya kwangwade gwala nya kanu nya kin state nya kanu Hassan Sani dabawa da lami fu ne fim ga ku woda nan take dai amu pitan na wa na wona nga yi na goyin gana e ba kini gen dede na de etwe e ba yen ni mi takara kuri a cin ya 2027 na be fu bo wona nga gwala ginna ci mallatu akide e ba tabiya na amu kuta de gikine tubo na mu la na la nga yi na gikine kide mu iza nu jiza na de a gikine fun chwa na bo kya ci nan mu da dula egu alama kan alama wa kuma mula takadu ya ga lotu da e bona e bayan takada bodan kara bodanu ka fun ba so yina nga yi 2020 latu lakide wu na de Boko Haram jide to ezata biya sakwa ne gan na je kan daba isa fi ko la wu na de wu kin Nigeria abun mu diga yeje ku musumiya mi ezaya adini zuma Kristi shi mga ina eje ku ne bo kya shi na egan shi nu gada na lu kwa nu David ana ai kun gi mu chi adara la wa ibuna do ji chi efo ibuna ake be sai ndo chi ni mi takada na chi la eji de kede egan kin United States na de agan takede na de zuma Christian zuma tushen Christian ga ina je ku gona yi egan na de de gaskiya na bo kya shi no awaga amufitan wucha bayan egun nu ganda no adadala hukun cha ba tubo na gan etun wuci na de Allah kuto Allah wa etun wuci awada insha Allah go egu gwamna yankin Kwara abu na gwamna Abdurrahman Abdazaki bani de la emi sai bada lo bayan ojorayen tishin do sin gan ojorayen kin Lagos nani etien sutu yan zani nga igan na igan Ọ̀túnba Adékúnlé Ọ̀jọ́ránà na ma be takana tula daga bayan rubutu kacire a gwamna nan nga igan Rafiu Ajakaye yina latula kire gwamna to nande la emisa nye badana lo bayan zanin da jin zagi mafaide ko ngale ani kin kwara abun nga nyi miya nga igan Mrs Toyin Sakyo etien tutuen babu na de be tu danona Abdrazak gwamna Abdrazak a cima wa ben be kabila ji to yegi kwata kede akube ankuri ya kuci tutuen ya Ojoran nena na yi eza mchimonchi za mchukoko na de ape tibe tun ji kakan ya yebolo na bago ma chi badwa de soron ya kuchina ke so ku gwe zuma na moluba so kwa zuma fe alheri na ewe kaba to e igba ni wuye na de daji kinde kokko ina a kebe kendo na de akun ya bachina egi labari Abdul Latif Aolewa na de lo zukun tun ega ojo ba yen dimiji ni lori abun etu kin kwa na chile lo ene de okun kaba to e igba ni na nimi labari na mu lo ekede na de ba ni won kekela de guta e chi gin fi etu an azumbo na nyen gba ko ya na ale gan ewo kaba to e yen na de won atin sikin boro yin gan yan abachi na ni mi gan mi sun eze ni wo anga gan Aliu Balikis na de bala gan ni be gwalagian labari je to bai babu na takide ni na kun ka bai abachi na be ya ne na ripe de soran e ba e wo chinyo no latu la kide yen jika ni bufuni ne de ati kun ya yi na kun abachi to kaba na mu yi takani ne ra po sun e da ara ta be gusun e ga 55,000 na ailo shitana ama nye na kunya jika na ile kilu 50 kg na yana muyi ko tutu gbawo chatu guba na ga 32,000 na ni mi lo ba won takide yan na den roba na la onda na ba ni ekun chi ni ko tutu da guba datu jika guba na edokun ba ni na nama akperi paile na amagba nu dajin jika gutun chetu ga jika gutun ayun ni mi kalami o awon takide yan roba na de edan korba guto na ikwen korba guto tato na de ekun ati kun ga gan jika guta be gan fi abachi muchi na gba ni ene kun na wi ewo jika guba zanin ya na ke yi duko ekun ti yan kabayi to ejina ngai ga Abdurrashid Bello to so latula kede to suna wa tinwo yana kama da angi de ade be amechimule amma to sun e wudda ba ade e shila kun kendo ne de awana nan e kan ya awodo ya na gola gina yi gan Ahmed Ayinla Foundation de jina unjin ya za kan je tin ri ato ya shirin awode ya na maju mabeje gwalaji ka secretariat yan enachin swanjo na de chi file zo fitien chi ko ijire abne gan George Agbasika inna egi labari Abdul Latif Ahmed na de lo ti da ko labari na kan latula kede gwalaji na de ya aja jin e kan yan riato award na ya zani de twan de ga gibi gan na yina ajin yana na de apa kan zandoci na shi yayi mace kwara abu na nan be kokara ni de ajin force mace be ya yebolo tun golage ezo na kan san yan ne me ga mesuyen da sako golage na la shi etin kan mu chona ngai gan da etin la na gan da sako na la edan etun ezo na kan sai de kin kwara abu na coach bola kale magaji la ejidan gawa mu de tulalo ba agwalagin na jin gwalagin na la shirin na shi ga gan likita Ahmed Ayinla ya fi fana de wa pa ra ni de e to ya gibi ya eti edu fe brolo ya mawen ezo na kasai de kin kwara wona be ma taki de na bani kinigia ade won e mawo ye brodo de labia kin kwara be ni na ni me kala me ga mi suen da sako etu me board ne de le dan gwalagi na ngai ga Ahmed Ayinla Foundation no lector Ahmed Ayinla so to so ma achaga on takide retwa award na ajuji etie ni mode la ya pipa ni zana de egwa fian to mo to ade dan bo bihar be ba ni shishiya gwalagi eto na kasan de mi kin kwara abuna sashi ya zana de retwa na de ya award na to ni mi ya na ji da ce balagan be gi labari na ala in fa tula to ji da so en bayan gwalagi na ji ya to award na ji ana ina be shi ba shon ga gan lilla da go yan ya to award na yetiyan pe pan chiwon ya kokira ya igboro ya ne ezo na kasakin kwara abun nan gogurum dia labe no na kina da bayan Suleiman na gba gani be ejime ya gina Suleiman
Ahmed Asana akushe láti àtàrọ̀ ìròyìn fún ti àṣálẹ́ ni ẹ máa bá wa ká lọ àjọ ọmọ ogun orí omi ti sọ wípé ọgbà àgbà àjọ ọ̀hún Marshal Sunday Aneke ló kọ̀wọ́rìn pẹ̀lú ààrẹ Tinubu àti mínísítà fún ètò ààbò ọ̀gágun Christopher Musa lọ sí Turkey lára akitiyan ìṣiṣẹ́ rẹ̀ pàápàá jùlọ láti jà tako ìgbésùnmọ̀mí ìjínigbé àti àwọn ìpèníjà mìíràn tó lè tako ìṣọ̀kan tó ń ti àlàáfíà orílẹ̀-èdè yìí. Àtẹ̀jáde ìgbàtọwọ́ adarí ètò ìlúkòrò àti ìròyìn ní olú-iléeṣẹ́ àjọ náà Air Commodore Ehimen Ejodame sọ wípé àwọn tó nífọ̀n lẹ́ẹ̀kan náà ló ṣàbẹ̀wò ìṣiṣẹ́ sí Ankara ní Turkey láti sọ̀rọ̀ tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú àfẹnukò ìjọba àpapọ̀ láti mú agbára bá ètò ààbò àti pàápàá pọ́nkún àjọṣepọ̀ pẹ̀lú ilẹ̀ òkèèrè. Ó ní ti ìpele òṣèlú ààrẹ Tinubu ló bá akẹgbẹ́ rẹ̀ ìyẹn ti Turkey sọ̀rọ̀ lórí àfojúsùn ìdúnadúrà tó ní èròǹgbà àti sọ ìfẹ́ ọkàn wọn èyí tó ṣokùnfà ìbuwọ́lù ìwé àdéhùn ìgbọ́ra ẹniyé 9 ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti agbọn ètò ààbò okòòwò ẹ̀kọ́ ìròyìn ìmọ̀ ẹ̀rọ àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Àtẹ̀jáde náà sọ wípé àdéhùn àfẹnukò ìgbọ́ra-ẹni ọ̀hún ló sàmì ìgbésẹ̀ tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú àjọṣepọ̀ pípakún àǹfààní orílẹ̀-èdè yìí síde ìlàjú ìmọ̀ ẹ̀rọ àti àwọn nǹkan mìíràn tí yóò ṣàtìlẹ́yìn fún ààbò àpapọ̀ ọlọ́jọ́ pípẹ́ tó ń ti ìdàgbàsókè orílẹ̀-èdè wa Nàìjíríà. Nígbà tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ lórí pàtàkì àbẹ̀wò náà, mínísítà fún ètò ààbò ọ̀gágun Christopher Musa sọ wípé ìlọ́wọ́sí orílẹ̀-èdè méjèèjì ọ̀hún ló ṣàfihàn bákan náà àṣẹ ààrẹ láti kojú ìpèníjà tó ń bá orílẹ̀-èdè yìí fínra. Gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún ti jọ̀wọ́ ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga yunifásítì ìjọba àpapọ̀ olùkọ́ni Táísọ́lá Àárín tó wà ní Ìjàgùn fún ìjọba àpapọ̀ orílẹ̀-èdè yìí lásìkò ayẹyẹ ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́jáde ilé ẹ̀kọ́ náà ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹtàdínlógún irú ẹ̀. Ìwé ìgbọ́ra-ẹniyé lórí jíjọ̀wọ́ fún ilé ẹ̀kọ́ náà ló wáyé lọ́jọ́ Àlàmísì tí gómìnà Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún buwọ́lù níbi ìjókòó òun pẹ̀lú mínísítà fún ètò ẹ̀kọ́ kejì lórílẹ̀‐èdè wa Nàìjíríà ìyẹn ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n Suwaiba Ahmed. Ìjọba àpapọ̀ ti ṣáájú kéde títẹ́wọ́ gba yunifásítì náà nínú oṣù kẹta ọdún 2025 lójúnà àti mú ìgbòòrò bá ètò ẹ̀kọ́ lórílẹ̀‐èdè wa Nàìjíríà. Gómìnà Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún wá kan sára sí ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu fún bíbuwọ́lù sísàkóso yunifásítì náà léyìí tí ó sọ wípé irú ìgbésẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ kìí ṣe ìgbésẹ̀ lásán bí kò ṣe láti gbé agbára wọ ìlàkàkà ìjọba lórí àti ró ètò ẹ̀kọ́ tó dúró re lẹ́wọ̀ agbára lórílẹ̀‐èdè wa Nàìjíríà. Àjọ tó ń rí sí ètò ẹ̀yáwó akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ìyẹn NELFund ti ṣe ìsúnsíwájú gbèdéke ọjọ́ ìforúkọsílẹ̀ fún sáà ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ 25-26 sí ọjọ́ 27 oṣù kejì ọdún 2026. Àtẹ̀jáde kan látọwọ́ àjọ ọ̀hún sọ wípé ọjọ́ tí wọ́n ti ṣáájú kéde ìyẹn ọjọ́ 23 oṣù kínní ọdún 2026 ṣùgbọ́n láti fi fún àwọn tó ń gbìyànjú àti forúkọsílẹ̀ ní àǹfààní àkókò díẹ̀ sí láti fi ṣe ìparí àti ìfilélẹ̀ ìforúkọsílẹ̀ wọn. Adarí ẹ̀ka ìròyìn lájọ náà Ọ̀sẹ̀yẹmí Olúwatúyì sọ wípé ìgbésẹ̀ ọ̀hún ni wọ́n ṣe lójú náà àti rí i dájú pé kò sí akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ kankan tí kò ní rí àǹfààní ìforúkọsílẹ̀ náà. Nígbà tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ìsúnsíwájú ọjọ́ náà, ọ̀gá àgbà aláṣẹ àjọ nelfund Akíntúndé Sọ́yà sọ wípé ìsúnsíwájú náà ló ṣàfihàn ìfarajìn àjọ náà sídìí ìlọ́wọ́sí àti àǹfààní àrọ́wọ́tó. nelfund wá rọ àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tí wọn kò tí ì forúkọsílẹ̀ láti tètè parí ìforúkọsílẹ̀ wọn pẹ̀lú sísàmúlò àǹfààní gbèdéke ọjọ́ tí àwọn ti ṣáájú là kalẹ̀ tí wọ́n sún sí ọjọ́ 27 oṣù kejì ọdún 2026. Àjọ ọlọ́pàá ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó ti jiyàn ẹ̀sùn tí wọ́n fi kàn wípé ńṣe ni àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ àjọ ọ̀hún dá iná ìbọn yá àwọn tó ń ṣe ìwọ́de ìfẹ̀hónúhàn tako wíwó ilé àti dúkìá wọn tó wáyé lọ́jọ́ Àlárúbà. Àwọn olùfẹ̀hónúhàn láti agbègbè Makoko, Òwòrò-Sòkí, Owódé Onírin àti Oko Baba ni wọ́n lọ sí ilé aṣòfin ìpínlẹ̀ náà tó fi béèrè fún ìpinnu tó bójúmu lórí ìṣípòpadà sí ààyè mìíràn, owó gbàmábínú àti ìdájọ́ òdodo fáwọn ènìyàn agbègbè náà tó fi pàdánù ẹ̀mí wọn lákòókò ètò wíwó dúkìá tó ti ṣáájú wáyé tẹ́lẹ̀. Ìròyìn fi yé ni wípé àwòrán kan tó ń ṣàfihàn olùfẹ̀hónúhàn tó fara gbọgbẹ́ tí àwọn ènìyàn sì ń ràn lọ́wọ́ láti gbé lọ sí ilé ìwòsàn ló ti lùgbòrò pa lórí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára. Ẹ̀wẹ̀, kọmíṣánná fún àjọ ọlọ́pàá nípínlẹ̀ náà Jimoh Ọlọ́rundáre nígbà tó ń fèsì lórí ẹ̀sùn náà lákòókò tó ń farahàn lórí iléeṣẹ́ amóhùnmáwòrán kan sọ wípé àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ àjọ ọ̀hún kò gbé ìgbésẹ̀ kankan pàápàá lórí à ń dáná ìbọn yá ẹnikẹ́ni, pẹ̀lú àfikún wípé àjọ ọlọ́pàá ló paná ìfẹ̀hónúhàn náà pẹ̀lú ìpẹ̀lẹ́ pùtù. Àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ ọba ní olú ilẹ̀ wa èyí tí ìgbìmọ̀ ẹgbẹ́ òṣìṣẹ́ JUAC sojú fún ti kọ̀ láti ṣẹ́wélé ìyanṣẹ́lódì látàrí àìwá ojútùú sí ọ̀rọ̀ ìgbáyégbádùn wọn. Ìròyìn fi yé ni pé àwọn ẹnu ọ̀nà ọ́fíìsì nílùú Àbújá tó wà ní àdúgbò náà ni ó jẹ́ ohun tí ṣíṣí rẹ̀ ló kéré níye láwọn ọ́fíìsì tí wọ́n ṣí sílẹ̀, eléyìí tí ó sì jẹ́ ohun tí àwọn tí ó jẹ́ olùgbàṣẹ́ṣe ọ̀hún kò fi gbogbo ara faramọ́. Bó ti wulẹ̀ jẹ́ pé ìyanṣẹ́lódì sì ń tẹ̀síwájú, ó ti jẹ́ wípé ilé-ẹjọ́ òṣìṣẹ́ àpapọ̀ lánàá òde yìí ti pa wọ́n láṣẹ láti ṣẹ́wélé ìyanṣẹ́lódì tí ó sì sún ẹjọ́ ọ̀hún sí ọjọ́ 23 oṣù kẹta ọdún yìí. Ẹgbẹ́ ọ̀hún èyí tí agbẹjọ́rò rẹ̀ Fẹ́mi Fálànà darí rẹ̀ ti kọ̀ jálẹ̀ láti tẹ̀lé àṣẹ ilé-ẹjọ́ èyí tí mínísítà fún olú ilẹ̀ wa Nyesom Wike ti ṣáájú ṣe ìkìlọ̀ ohun tó lè tẹ̀yìn rẹ̀ yọ fún àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ tí wọ́n bá fi lè kọ̀ láti padà sẹ́nu iṣẹ́, èyí tó sọ wípé ọ̀pọ̀ ohun tí wọ́n béèrè fún ni wọ́n ti ń wá ojútùú sí. Ẹgbẹ́ òṣìṣẹ́ wa sọ wípé ìdájọ́ ilé-ẹjọ́ ọ̀hún láfojúsùn lórí àwọn tó jẹ́ adarí àti ọ̀gá JUAC ṣùgbọ́n tí kìí ṣe àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ gangan. Ó wá tẹ̀pẹ̀lẹ̀ mọ́ ìdásílẹ̀ ọ̀hún ni yóò tẹ̀síwájú títí di ìgbà tí wọn yóò fi gbọ́ra wọn yé pẹ̀lú Wike àti àwọn òṣìṣẹ́. Ìrántí wà wípé ìgbésẹ̀ ìyanṣẹ́lódì ìṣiṣẹ́ ọ̀hún ló bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní ọjọ́ 19 oṣù kìíní ọdún eléyìí tí a wà yìí. ẹgbẹ́ mùsùlùmí murik eléyìí tí a mọ̀ sí Muslim Rights Concern ti rọ ààrẹ Tinubu láti yọ alága àjọ elétò ìdìbò àpapọ̀ ilẹ̀ wa INEC yẹn ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n Joas Amupitan nípò ní wàrà sísà. Èyí ló wà nínú àtẹ̀jáde kan tí alága murik ẹ̀ka ti ìpínlẹ̀ Kano Hassan Sani Dabawa buwọ́lù ibi tó ti sọ wípé ó ṣe pàtàkì láti yọ Amupitan nípò láti lè dáàbò bo ìgbóríyìn fún àwọn ètò ìdìbò lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan tí yóò máa wáyé lọ́jọ́ iwájú. Ẹgbẹ́ ọ̀hún sọ̀rọ̀ ìrántí ọ̀hún tí Amupitan ṣe sẹ́yìn tó fi pọn dandan láti yọ nípò pẹ̀lú bó ti sọ ohun àpilẹ̀kọ kan tí alága àjọ elétò ìdìbò ọ̀hún kọ lọ́dún 2020 tó pe àkọlé rẹ̀ ní òfin fínífíní lórí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ìṣekúpani nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà, ewu rẹ̀ lórí agbègbè tó jẹ́ ti ilẹ̀ òkèrè. Àtẹ̀jáde náà tí wọ́n ṣàpèjúwe rẹ̀ lóní kúkúrú tí wọ́n forí rẹ̀ sọ orílẹ̀-èdè United States lórí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ìṣekúpa àwọn ọmọlẹ́yìn Kristi ní orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọ̀rọ̀ ìkórìíra. Àtẹ̀jáde ọ̀hún sọ wípé àpilẹ̀kọ Amupitan jiyàn wípé àkọlù látọwọ́ àwọn ọmọ tó ń sọ ilé ẹ̀rín dọ̀fọ́ Boko Haram àti àwọn Fúlàní darandaran ló tayọ fàǹfà abẹ́lé ṣùgbọ́n tí wọ́n ṣe láti tako ìpolongo àwọn Kristẹni ni. Ẹ̀wẹ̀ ó sọ wípé ìyọnípò Amupitan ló ṣe kókó lójúnà àti dáàbòbò àwọn ìdìbò tí yóò máa wáyé lọ́jọ́ ọ̀la lórílẹ̀‐èdè yìí pẹ̀lú ìkìlọ̀ wípé fífi sílẹ̀ láti máa jẹ́ alága àjọ INEC ni yóò máa ṣe ìfiwọ́lẹ̀ ìyege ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà níbi ètò ìdìbò gbogbogbò ọdún 2027. Gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara Abdulrahman Abdulrasaq ti ránṣẹ́ ìbánikẹ́dùn rẹ̀ sí mọ̀lẹ́bí Ọ̀jọ́rá ti ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó lórí ìpapòdà aṣíwájú nínú okòwò ìyẹn Ọ̀túnba Adékúnlé Ọ̀jọ́rá. Àtẹ̀jáde gbàtọwọ́ akọ̀wé ìròyìn gómìnà ìyẹn Rafiu Àjàkáyé sọ wípé gómìnà pàápàá kẹ́dùn pẹ̀lú aya gómìnà tẹ́lẹ̀ rí nípínlẹ̀ yìí arábìnrin Tóyìn Sàràkí lórí ìfilẹ̀sàsọ́búra bàbá rẹ̀. Gómìnà wa rọ àwọn mọ̀lẹ́bí láti gbà fún Ọlọ́run àti pàápàá kí wọ́n gùn lé ipa rere tí bàbá wọn tó jẹ́ akọ́ṣẹ́mọṣẹ́ oníròyìn olókòwò àti pàápàá adarí agbègbè náà tó gbé nígbèsí ayé rẹ̀. Ó wá gbàdúrà kí Ọlọ́run túbọ̀ fún mọ̀lẹ́bí ní ọkàn akin láti gùn lé ìwà rere bàbá ọ̀hún àti pàápàá kí Ọlọ́run tẹ́wọ́ gba olóògbé náà gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹni rẹ̀. Tí a bá gbé lé òdiwọ̀n iye tí wọ́n ń ta àgbàdo àti ọkà bàbà lọ́jà báyìí ti dín sí iye tí wọ́n ń tà lọ́dún tó kọjá. Abdulateef Owólẹ́wà tí ó lọ sí ọjà ọba láti mọ iye tí wọ́n ń ta ohun èlò náà jábọ̀ ìròyìn wípé bí ààwẹ̀ Ramadan sì kù ọ̀sẹ̀ mẹ́ta báyìí níṣe ni iye tí wọ́n ń ta oúnjẹ ọ̀hún lọ́jà ti ń já wálẹ̀. Nínú ọ̀rọ̀ Aliyu Balikis tó jẹ́ òǹtajà ohun èlò náà tí ó bá ikọ̀ ìròyìn iléeṣẹ́ wa sọ̀rọ̀ fi múlẹ̀ wípé nírú àkókò bí èyí lọ́dún tó kọjá báàgì tó jẹ́ 50 oní kílógíráàmù àpò àgbàdo àti ọkà bàbà ni wọ́n ń tà ní ẹgbẹ̀rún lọ́nà 65 náírà ni wọ́n ń tà ní ẹgbẹ̀rún lọ́nà 30 náírà báyìí. Ike ọ̀dà rọ́bà tí wọ́n ń tà ní ẹgbẹ̀rún 284 náírà tẹ́lẹ̀ ni wọ́n ń tà ní ẹgbẹ̀rún 2 náírà péré tí abọ́ oní agolo 8 tí wọ́n ń tà ní 7 náírà lọ́dún tó kọjá ti di 4 náírà. Ẹ̀wẹ̀ òǹtajà kan Abdulrasheed Bello tí òun bá ikọ̀ ìròyìn iléeṣẹ́ Kwara TV sọ̀rọ̀ tọ́ka sí wípé àwọn oníbàárà tó wá ń ra ọjà ọ̀hún kéré jọjọ lákòókò tá a wà yí bó tiẹ̀ wulẹ̀ jẹ́ pé iye owó rẹ̀ ó ti dín sí ti àtẹ̀yìnwá. Lákòótán àjọ̀dún ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹta ìfòyè ìdánilọ́lá àjọ Ahmed Ayinla Foundation jẹ́ èyí tó wáyé lónìí òde yìí ní olú ilé ẹgbẹ́ àwọn onígègé àrà eré ìdárayá ní pápá ìṣeré George Agbasika ìlú Ìlọrin tí ń ṣe olú ìlú ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara. Abdulateef Ahmed jábọ̀ ìròyìn wípé àjọ Ahmed Ayinla Foundation ṣàgbékalẹ̀ ìfúnnilámì ẹ̀yẹ ọlọ́dọọdún rẹ̀ lónìí èyí tí wọ́n fi sun àti mọrírì ipa pàtàkì àwọn ọmọ Kwara kan tí wọ́n ti kópa tó jọjú nípasẹ̀ ìdàgbàsókè eré ìdárayá ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara. Nínú ọ̀rọ̀ tirẹ̀ alága ìjókòó náà ẹni tí tó ń ṣe alága iléeṣẹ́ eré ìdárayá ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara ìyẹn akọ́nimọ̀ọ́gbá Bọ́lá Kalẹ́ Mọ́gàjí kan sára sí olùdásílẹ̀ àjọ náà Dr. Ahmed Ayinla fún ìmọrírì ipa àwọn tí wọ́n fi oyè dálọ́lá náà kò tún ṣàì gbóṣùbà káre fáwọn àfòyèdálọ́lá ọ̀hún fún ipa ribiribi tí wọ́n ti sà síde ìdàgbàsókè eré ìdárayá ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara. Nínú ọ̀rọ̀ tirẹ̀ alága ìgbìmọ̀ alábòjútó àjọ Ahmed Ayinla Foundation ìyẹn Dr. Ahmed Ayinla sọ wípé ohun tí àmì ẹ̀yẹ ọ̀hún wà fún ni láti ṣàjọyọ̀ àti mọ ayẹyẹ àwọn tí wọ́n fún lámì ẹ̀yẹ nígbà tí Ọlọ́run sọ wípé wọ́n sì wà lórí èèpẹ̀. Nínú ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn tí wọ́n fàmì ẹ̀yẹ dálọ́lá pẹ̀lú ikọ̀ ìròyìn iléeṣẹ́ móhùnmáwòrán ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara kò ṣàìfọ́pẹ́ àti ìdùnnú wọn hàn fún àjọ náà gẹ́gẹ́ bí wọ́n ṣe kà wọ́n yẹ. Àwọn ohun tó wáyé níbi ìjókòó náà ní fífúnni ní àmì ẹ̀yẹ àti fọ́tò yíyà láàrin ara ẹni gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìsàmì ọjọ́ rere ọ̀hún. Ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ ìròyìn ti àṣálẹ́ òní kò ní jù báyìí lọ. Àbọ̀míre orókè báyìí ná Fatima Rasheed ẹ̀kúlé.
And that's how we wrap up our news for tonight. Thank you very much for being a part of it. From Funke.
Join us tomorrow, same time for another fresh episode of the news. But meanwhile, stay out of trouble. I'm Funke Olutimle.
From the languages desk.
Ni na ji kini abun da sun sai sun be kasuwanin su ku gogo ya shayi mu yayi da lafiya sai laji Ahmed Pasanta kwa Suleiman.
Ya ṣé tí ẹ tin tẹ̀lé wa láti àtọ̀rọ̀ tó bá tún di ọ̀lẹ́ tó bá pàdé wa ní fún àkọ́tún ìròyìn tí ó bá tún di aago 8 yẹn ìròyìn lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́. Sulaiman Ọlánrewájú Àmùdá ni orúkọ tèmi. Ẹ ṣé gan ni ọ̀ràn yóò lásùn ó dàárọ̀.
And I'm Fatima Rashid. Thank you once again. Do have a very lovely night.